Alex Eala has never won a WTA Tour-level singles title, not one, and yet in the space of a few months, three legends of tennis went out of their way, unprompted, to talk about her like she's already arrived. Martina Navratilova broke down her entire game on the WTA's own broadcast, Greg Ruseski compared her mentality directly to Rafael Nadal's, and then a seven-time Grand Slam champion did something even bigger. She called Eala her partner. Not a rising talent, not a promising youngster worth watching her partner. So what does a 21-year-old from the Philippines with 0 tour titles have to do to earn that kind of language from the greatest players this sport has ever produced? This is the story of how she answered that question, and why the legends who've been watching most closely are now asking a very different question about her future. If stories like this are what you've been looking for, the ones that go beyond the scorelines, subscribe right now and turn on notifications. We cover this sport the way it deserves to be covered every single week. Let's get into it. Start with Navratilova. 18 Grand Slam singles titles. In March, she sat down with the WTA and broke down Eala's game piece by piece. She's crafty. Navratilova said, "She's a good lefty, she uses her variety nicely." High praise. But Navratilova didn't stop there. "I think where she can improve the most is her serve. She needs a bigger serve and a bigger kick. She is slight of build, so it's harder for her to absorb all that pace." A specific technical flaw identified by one of the greatest players in history. Hold on to that because it becomes the thread that runs through this entire story. And it wasn't just the legends studying her game. Broadcasters started talking about the atmosphere around her matches in a way that had nothing to do with rankings. Sky Sports presenter Gigi Salmon compared it directly to the world's biggest musical acts. "It was like a Taylor Swift concert," Salmon said. "People were screaming." Then she went further. "In terms of her appeal, the crowds that follow her, she might already be the biggest star. A player with 0 tour titles, being talked about like she's already arrived." That is the tension this story sits inside, the hype against the results. And it was about to be tested, first by a curse that had followed her for years, then by an old rival, then by the legend who just called her a partner. That partnership didn't come out of nowhere. In June, Eala and 46-year-old Venus Williams announced something nobody saw coming: a doubles team at the Bad Homburg Open, Williams' first grass event since 2023. Not a promotional stunt, an actual team. They won their first match together, beat a seeded pair and reached the quarterfinals before falling in a tight match. And when it ended, Venus didn't talk like someone doing a young player a favor. She called it the best ride, the best tournament, the best partner. Reporters covering the pairing described Eala as teaming up with one of her childhood idols. If that's true, this wasn't two strangers paired by a tournament schedule. This was a kid who may have grown up watching Venus Williams on TV, now standing next to her as an equal, chosen, not assigned. The Venus partnership wasn't a one-off either. The two confirmed they would reunite for another tournament in the United States weeks later. Venus picked her once, then picked her again, but Eala's singles week in Bad Homburg was a first-round exit to Elise Mertens. A reminder that even in the middle of a career-best stretch, this is still a 21-year-old with plenty left to figure out. If you know Eala's name at all, it's probably because of March 2025, a world number 140 wildcard walking into the Miami Open and beating Ostapenko, Madison Keys, and Iga Swiatek on her way to a WTA 1000 semifinal. That win over Swiatek made headlines everywhere, but came with the asterisk every skeptic loves to attach to a surprise result. There's a strange footnote to that rivalry. Years earlier, when Eala graduated from the Rafa Nadal Academy, one of the guests of honor at the ceremony was Swiatek herself. Sitting in that crowd watching a 12-year-old collect a diploma, nobody could have guessed what was coming. That kid would grow up to beat the champion twice. But tennis never lets anyone have the last word for long. A few months after Miami, Swiatek got hers back. 3 sets, Madrid Open, revenge complete, 1 win each. A rivalry, not a fluke. Then the calendar moved on, and so did the doubts. February 2026, a quarterfinal loss in Abu Dhabi. Qatar out in the second round. 2 early flights home. And underneath all of it, a pattern the tour had quietly noticed. Heading into that spring, Eala had never beaten a Czech opponent on tour. 0 wins. 12 losses. Navratilova's serve critique was starting to sound less like advice and more like a prophecy. April brought 4 more early exits: Linz, Stuttgart, Madrid, and then Roland Garros itself, ending in the first round to a teenager. 4 tournaments, 4 exits, and the 0-12 Czech record still standing. The same uncomfortable question kept getting louder. Was Miami the real Alex Eala? Or was this? If this breakdown has you locked in, drop a like on this video right now. It helps more people find this story, and a run like this one deserves to be seen properly. Then the calendar turned to grass. And so did everything else. At the Berlin Open in June, Eala put together the best week of tennis of her career. She opened by beating 2024 Wimbledon semifinalist Donna Vekic. Then she stunned world number 2 Elena Rybakina 7-5, 6-4, her 6th top 10 win ever from a player with 0 tour titles. Then she added world number 8 Svitolina to reach her first Berlin semifinal, 2 top 10 wins in a single week. The Giant Slayer reputation wasn't hype anymore, it was a pattern of its own. She fell in the semifinal to Linda Noskova, the same player who had beaten her at Indian Wells in March and would go on to win Wimbledon. But a week later in Birmingham, the Czech curse finally broke. Eala beat a Czech opponent for the first time in her career, winning her second career WTA 125 title, and the player she beat, Nikola Bartunkova, would become her Wimbledon doubles partner weeks later. The one national grouping she couldn't crack for years became, in the space of a month, a rivalry and then a partnership. Then came Wimbledon, seeded 29th for the first time in her career. The first Filipino player, man or woman, ever seeded at a Grand Slam. Her first-round opponent was Zarazua, the same player who had beaten her in an ITF quarterfinal in 2024 and later became her doubles partner at the French Open. This time backed by a partisan Filipino crowd and carrying everything the week represented, Eala left no room for sentiment. 22 winners, dominant at the net. A 6-1, 6-2 win and her first ever Wimbledon main draw victory. Second round, Maya Joint, fresh off eliminating Serena Williams in her comeback match, the biggest win of Joint's career. Eala dropped the first set, then won 12 of the next 14 games to close it out. The result made her the first Filipino in the Open era to reach the third round of a Grand Slam singles event. Venus Williams reposted the win and called her my other doubles partner, a legend cheering from her couch for someone she had chosen twice. Third round, Swiatek, the defending Wimbledon champion. The same player who had crushed her opponent 6-0 in the prior year's final, though this time she had needed 3 sets just to survive her own first-round match. Eala walked in as the last left-handed player to have beaten her, a run of 465 days that was about to end. Final score, 7-6, 6-2. The first set alone lasted 84 minutes, an 11-9 tiebreak. Eala broke Swiatek's serve 5 times, won more than 2/3 of points on her second serve, and finished with less than half as many unforced errors as the defending champion. Her 7th career top 10 win. Her second career win over a defending Wimbledon champion afterward. In tears on court, she said that for someone like Swiatek, who has won so many slams, or for someone like Serena or Venus, this moment might seem small. But for a girl who grew up in the Philippines training after school with her brother and her grandfather in worn-out socks and light-up shoes, this is everything. Then, almost in the same breath, because I'm emotional does not mean I'm satisfied. Okay, next round, let's go.
Obviously, because I'm emotional does not mean I'm satisfied, so yeah, okay, next round, let's go.
Greg Ruseski broke it down on his podcast afterward. He didn't point to a fixed serve. He pointed to something else. She was anticipating where Swiatek was going to play at the big moments, a very high tennis IQ. Then he went further. The mentality is like Rafa. Never say die from start to finish, gets the job done, finds a way. A player who trained at the Rafa Nadal Academy from age 12, being compared to Nadal by a former world top 5 player. That is not a coincidence of language. That is the whole point. She would lose in the 4th round to Jasmine Paolini. A standing ovation as she left center court, a heart gesture to the crowd that had shown up in flags and noise from the other side of the world. Not every chapter closes with a win, but the run itself did something no Filipino tennis player in history had ever done. 14 months ago, Eala was ranked outside the top 100, a wild card with nothing to lose. She climbed to a career high of 28 in July. The gap to the very top is still enormous. Sabalenka sits at number 1 with more than 5 times her ranking points, but the gap to relevance has already closed completely. Navratilova saw the flaw and named it. Ruseski saw the mentality and compared it to the greatest. Venus Williams saw a partner and came back for more. The tennis world has stopped asking whether Alex Eala belongs. It's already asking how far she goes next. If this story moved you, subscribe to this channel and join the community following every chapter as it happens, the upsets, the records, the history being made in real time. Turn on notifications and we will see you in the next one.